like getting ready for the NFL combine is not just, running a 40 or doing the drills or your vertical, right? It's a lot of the personality stuff as well. And usually these guys of his caliber have a team, a PR team that they have put together to prepare them. Who is this guy's team? And why did they allow him to get up here on one of the biggest moments of his career so far and look like that?
It is time for another edition of Fumble of the Week. But before we get into that, I got to ask Samaria, what time is your tea time? I'm loving the golf outfit.
This isn't really a golf shirt. I do have some, but this is supposed to be kind of dressy.
Okay. Do you play? You nice?
I don't. And what sucks is like my dad and my uncles, they all play. My husband even plays, but they don't let the girls join them. So maybe...
No, I'm not letting you make it sound like your dad and your husband are sexist. We're not doing that. Let's just pivot to the Fumble of the Week because we ain't about to be out here bashing the men in your life. All right. My Fumble of the Week for this week, miss, is going to Makai Lemon, USC's wide receiver, who is at worst the second best wide receiver in this entire draft. I'm not saying he's tanking his draft stock, but he is having people question whether or not they want to deal with somebody who is so offbeat, I guess we will call it. But he's been having some really odd interviews, and even the ones that we haven't seen, the reports coming out of them suggest that all the screws ain't fully tightened upstairs. Again, phenomenal talent, but is it worth it?
It's crazy because I don't know what's wrong with the kid. I saw him and I was like, okay, what's happening? And then I would see people in the comments say, well, this is a West Coast thing. Rodney, you live in the West Coast. Is this a California thing? Like the way that he's talking, his demeanor, the way that he looks at people like with his head down like this, it's really creepy. So you gotta give us some insight on that because that's where you stay.
There are a lot of different types of characters in the LA area, different than what I'm used to growing up on the East Coast. And there is an archetype for this kind of person. I don't think that many of them go on to be as successful as Makai has been in his tenure at USC and obviously slated to be drafted extremely high coming up. So it is funny to see somebody with this type of characteristics and personality slip through the cracks and get this far in life, because usually these are the people that I end up seeing inside of the LA prison system or the California prison system. It's just, there's something a little off, the eyes are a little kooky, but if I'm an NFL team, if I'm evaluating this, I think we have so many examples of these types of guys, they're talented, but they end up having short stints in the NFL because their personality just goes a different direction. So,
and shout out to Lincoln Riley in USC for really like shielding him, because nobody ever knew that was his demeanor. We never knew that that's the way that he acted. And I wonder if he even actually acts like that, or if he's kind of putting on this persona because he thinks that it's cool. Because I feel like we see that a lot too. I think that there's a lot that goes into like getting ready for the NFL combine. It's not just, running a 40 or doing the drills or your vertical, right? It's a lot of the personality stuff as well. And usually these guys of his caliber have a team, a PR team that they have put together to prepare them, because you remember what we saw with Shedeur Sanders. Oh, he didn't interview well, blah, 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 blah. And that is so important, because when you go into these interviews, obviously, and I'll give you a little bit of insight, right? Because my husband had to do all these interviews. And they have like the little iPad, and they'll have like some good film. They'll have some bad film. They'll ask them, okay, well, what about this play? What did you think that you did wrong here? All of the things. And then they'll install an offense or a defense, and they'll ask the guys to kind of regurgitate that back to them, right? So that's important. However, how they kind of connect with their coach, because that would essentially be their coach, is so important. And if you're coming into this room, talent is only going to take you so far. I don't want to be your position coach, and I don't think that you're smart, or I don't think that I can even get through to you. Like, that is really, really important. And we've seen guys fall in the draft because of that. Who is this guy's team? And why did they allow him to get up here on one of the biggest moments of his career so far and look like that and act like that? It's kind of scary. I don't know.
Yeah, there's one of these every year. There's one of these every year in the NFL draft, and so it really is just a matter of the metrics by which a team evaluates their players, right? Is it the on court, on field things that make a player more attractive, or is it the entire package? You know, how somebody fits into a locker room, how they fit within the confines and constructs of our organization. Do we have quality leadership to help steer this kind of talent in a healthy direction to make him worthwhile and valuable to our organization for years to come? This is a guy who was slated to go at no worse late first round, right? So, you know, that's a heavy investment. If a team takes you in the first round in the NFL, the expectation is that you're a guy who can be a major part of the organization for 3 to 5 years at the very least. You know what I mean? So I don't know if whatever teams that were looking at him feel like they have enough of a support system to bring this kind of guy in and help him succeed. But he definitely is hurting his value and is going to be on a very, very short leash whenever he does get to the NFL. People are already going to have a heightened sense of awareness for his kind of quirks, and they will, yeah, he's going to walk in with a stain on his jacket out the gate.
Unfortunately, though, this is a business, a very lucrative business. And I don't think that a lot of these teams, GMs, are coming in trying to ask their veterans to do this because their veterans are doing a job as well. I don't want to also ask you to babysit. We saw this in Buffalo with Keon Coleman. Like, sometimes it's just not worth the cost. And if we're going to pay you this huge signing bonus, this huge contract, like, I have to be able to trust that you're going to come in and you're going to do your job and not make us look like idiots.
You're wrong. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
That's the thing. Okay, so my fumble of the week is kind of a sad one that I kind of want to like open up a broader story. But I don't know if you saw, but former first round draft pick Robert Nkemdiche was actually arrested in Georgia after attempting to smuggle allegedly groceries from a store. He ended up being arrested because he had some other warrants or what have you. But it's so crazy to me to see these types of stories, especially with a guy like Robert who made upwards of $13 million in his career. And now he's having to smuggle groceries. And he's kind of had some other stuff that has happened off the field as well. But it just kind of like I said, it's just so heartbreaking to see because these are guys that were, I mean, probably since they were 15, 16 years old, have been superstars in their community. Then they go to college, they're superstars. You're drafted. Not only are you drafted, but you're drafted in the first round. And then to have your career fall off and then you fall off in a way, it's just really sad. And I don't know what we as a society could do to help these types of things because unfortunately, we build these athletes up. And then when their career doesn't necessarily go the way that we or they expect it to go, then we kind of just like, it's such a, I don't, it's such a weird situation, but I want to get your thoughts on it too.
Yeah, no, I think that both of our fumbles of the week have a point of intersection and some synergy between them, right? Like, is Makai the precursor for this kind of outcome, right? Like, is Robert's ending, similar to the pathway that Makai is on as a potential first round pick. And I'm not saying that because I want that to happen, but a lot of times you can see patterns in certain things. Like, there's certain personalities, certain mental health issues that kind of go overlooked and underdiagnosed because of somebody's potential to earn millions of dollars. There are a lot of people who are invested into these athletes. And so they allow certain things to slip through the cracks without ever really being treated and addressed. It's unfortunate what Robert is going through, but from my estimation, this doesn't sound like this. Well, let me not project, and I'm not a clinical psychologist, psychiatrist, or anything of the sort. But when I hear these kinds of stories, people who have amassed this amount of money doing these types of things, having a number of different warrants, right? Which means that there's a criminal element that exists in him. This sounds to me like something mental health related. And I am going to be incredibly empathetic, towards people who potentially are dealing with things that we cannot see. And because somebody is upright, we tend to believe that they are all right. And I think a lot of times, especially with these big, strong athletes who are so they're specimens, right? Like you see them out there, it doesn't feel like they have any weaknesses at all. But their biggest weakness at time is the one that we would never be able to fully see. And that's the one that takes place up here in their minds. And so it sounds to me like a man who's at war and has been at war internally in a way that maybe just has never been addressed. And when you're that size, when you're that big, like, how do you even address that? Like, people have a fear, people have an apprehension about approaching these kinds of men, you know, even to give them help, because it's like, if he doesn't receive this the right way, like, my ass is grass. So, it's a catch-22, man.
No, it really is. And I know that a lot of people kind of point the finger at the NFL and they ask the question, okay, well, you know, you've built these players up, and yes, that you've given them this money. You are the reason why they are able to afford the lifestyle that they had. But there are also some things that happen within this game mentally that affect these players. And what are you all as a league doing to help combat some of the stuff that we're seeing with the athletes and maybe their brain health and all of the other things? So it's really, it's a nuanced situation. And it's just really sad when I saw it, because he's from Atlanta. He went to school with my cousin, actually. It's such a small world. And so to see this be his end when he should probably still be playing professional football is really sad. But
and we don't know that it's his end. I don't want to keep talking about myself, but the work that I do inside the prisons and the California State institution or penitentiary and rehabilitation institutions, like, you see people go into these prisons. You see people have these generally described as life-altering, deplorable situations, and they go into these facilities and they end up better once they come out. They have the only time in their lives to sit down and really do the inner work and be assessed and have dialogue with people who are from similar walks of life, who have overcome hurdles and obstacles despite being inside these institutions, and they become better men. I've seen it. I've sat down with killers. I've sat down with people who have committed heinous crimes. And I'm having dialogue and conversations with them, and you can just tell, like, oh, this is not the same person today that they were when they entered this facility 15, 16 years ago. So, you know, if by chance being arrested and doing some time, sitting down, having true mental health evaluation, gives him the opportunity to understand himself better, then, maybe this is a blessing in disguise. I'm always going to try to be a little bit optimistic and hold out hope that these kinds of situations can right themselves at some point.
Yeah, you all drop down in the comments and you let us know your thoughts on two very sad fumbles of the week. Is it USC's Makai Lemon in his combine performance, or is it Robert Nkemdiche, who was just arrested for smuggling groceries, allegedly? We want to hear from you.
For sure, man. And then also, I strongly encourage you to tap in with our newsletter. We have a link in bio. A lot of things going on in the world of sports, stories from the past, stories from the present. And, we got a little foresight sometimes. We even might talk about some things that happen in the future. So y'all go ahead and tap into that newsletter. Again, link is in the bio, man. Like, subscribe, share.